Excuse me, sir. Shall I start?
Good evening, madam. Good evening.
Very good evening, sir. How are you, sir?
All fine, madam.
Happy Baisakhi.
Thank you. Same to you. You are in Punjab University?
Yes, sir.
Which department?
Department of Education, sir.
Good.
Shall I start? I think it's 5 o'clock.
Yes, you can start.
A very good evening, everyone. I am Harsha Sharma, research scholar and program coordinator on the behalf of the organizing committee members of Indian Council of Education, Research and Technology. Welcome every member present here from different part of the world. To grace this event, today we have with us Miss Sonia McPherson, the chief patron, our eminent guest, chief guest, Professor Rajinder Kumar Uppal, Dr. Chaco Jose. We have also kindly please mute your device. Thank you so much, Abdul. To grace this event, today we have with us Miss Sonia McPherson, the chief patron, our eminent guest, chief guest, Professor Rajinder Kumar Uppal, Dr. Chaco Jose P. We have also our distinguished guest speakers from different parts of the world to share their wisdom on the theme of this online international symposia on community empowerment, inclusion, and sustainable development through the lens of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. I welcome you all. As an extraordinary patriot, social mastermind, political reformer, philosophical essayist with dynamic thoughts, Dr. Ambedkar represented all political and social activities for human advancement and satisfaction. He was the spirit of the Constitution of India who campaigned for the advancement of the abused and discouraged classes. Today, on his birth anniversary, we all have gathered on this virtual platform to appreciate his ideologies and wisdom for the upliftment of human race. Cultivation of mind should be the ultimate aim of human existence. The work of Ambedkar has a true existence and meaning in real life. With these words, I want to begin the International Symposium through general instruction for all the participants. The program duration is 3 hours. No attendance feedback link will be shared. Attendance will be automatically recorded by Zoom and 75% duration is must to qualify for the certificate. You are requested to follow digital ethics. Don't write unnecessary messages in the chat box. Raise hands, put unmute request if you have any question for keynote speakers. Question answer session will be conducted towards the end of the session. The certificate of participation will be issued to all attendees within 10 to 15 days after completion of program. Due to attendance tracking issue, the time duration might extend. Please join from your registered email and with your name. Some people join from different email address and don't write their name in Zoom. A lot of issues are faced in the verification process of attendance, and hence their certificate can't be generated. So you are again requested to join with your name and registered email address only. It is observed their previous program that some participants join, disconnects, and rejoin several times during the program. It becomes hard for us to track their attendance, hence, you are requested to attend without disconnecting. Thank you so much for paying attention to the instructions. Now it's time to commence the event through opening remarks. I may request Ms. Sonia McPherson, our chief patron, who is a global education influencer confirmed by the Australian company in 2022, Prime Ambassador of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, NASCOM, a prestigious program launched by Future Skills. She is a leading global career counselor certified by the University of California, Los Angeles. She is also certified from the Harvard Business School of Education in leading schools. She has over 27 years of experience as an educationist and led many reputed schools to uplift the quality of education. She has begged for many national and international certifications. She has also won the Outstanding Leadership Award at Global Teaching Award in the year 2020. It is such an honor to invite such an eminent personality to deliver the welcome address. I welcome you, ma'am, on this versatile platform of ICRT. The virtual stage is yours. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ms. Harsha. Good evening to all the eminent personalities here on this common digital virtual platform, which is actually shrinking the globe day by day. COVID turned out to be a boon for people like us, where we don't have to be physically present and yet we are connected. Coming back to today's international symposium, mark the 132nd birth anniversary of, as we call, Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar. A little more continuation to what Ms. Harsha said. He was a great social reformer, a political leader, eminent jurist, economist, scholar, editor, Buddhist activist, philosopher, anthropologist, historian, orator, writer, and the chief architect of the longest constitution of the world, that is India. And we are glad and even gladder that as an Indian and as a woman today, I have a chance to speak in a free and a democratic country. So without much delay, we start. Over to you, Ms. Harsha, to begin with our first key speaker. We will start with the chief guest.
What a great start. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us insight into the online symposia. We are charmed by your sharp fluency. Thank you once again. Normally, it is said, surround yourself with these dreamers and doers. Surround yourself with believers and thinkers. And here we have our great leaders, our chief guests, to enlighten us with their expertise. I welcome our chief guest, Professor Rajinder Kumar Uppal, who is a prolific writer, a man of letters, an acclaimed academician, a research stalwart, and the more ingenious guide who has won accolades in the academic fields and also in the genre of research. Presently, he is serving as a professor cum principal in the most exalted institution, Baba Farid College of Management and Technology, Punjab. The list of his works and achievements require another complete session to discuss. To sum up his achievements, he has registered his name in the Book of Records, Asia Book of Records, International Book of Records, and World Book of Records. I welcome you, sir, to add glory to the sensation and to develop the scale of excellency. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, madam. My PPTs are visible?
Yes, sir, completely.
Okay. Good evening to all. Most Honorable Dr. S.K. Singh Ji, Chairman of ICERT, Miss Sonia, Global Education Influencer and Honorable Member of ICERT, Guest of Honor and Chairperson of today's one-day International Symposium, Dr. Josh, Principal, uh, alias College, Kerala, Dr. Sandeep Ji, General Secretary, ICERT, Madam Miss Harsha, Research Scholar, Punjab University, Chandigarh, and Conference Convener and Coordinator of this conference. Dr. Navneet Kaur, Executive Director, Education Division, ICERT, Dr. Dilpreet Kaur, Lecturer, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar, Ms. Shama Parvez, Executive Director, Public Relations, ICERT, Professor Arna Anchal, Director, Research and Publication Division of ICERT, other members of ICERT, delegates from various institutions, universities from India and out of India. Today, we are celebrating and we're giving a tribute to the very dynamic personality, well-educated person, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. A tribute paid to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar by developing places related to his life. He was Bharat Ratna, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, architects of Indian Constitution, legendary statesman and a great social reform on his 130th 22nd birth anniversary. This anniversary is celebrated not only in India but at the world level also. In India, at 5 Panch-Tirth places, tribute is given to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Janmabhoomi Madhya Pradesh, Dr. Ambedkar Memorial, London. Chaitya Bhumi Mumbai, Dr. Ambedkar Memorial, Delhi. Diksha Bhumi, Nagpur. Government of India make inclusive provisions in India to fulfill the vision or desires of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Bhimrao Ambedkar was born on 14th April in a family of social outcasts, was a direct victim of social discrimination and inequality in both opportunities, standard of living, yet he had overcome all odds to become the father of Indian Constitution and contribute huge towards eradicating poverty and improving quality of life of marginalized communities in India. If one man dedicated to his working for the upliftment of Dalit, untouchables, and the socially backward class of India. Messiah of downtrodden, Ambedkar continuously fought for the eradication of caste discrimination that is fragmented in the Indian society. Born in socially backward family, Ambedkar was the victim of caste discrimination, inequality, and prejudice. There is a long story to become a social reformer, worked at that time when women was not given any importance. And please don't mind, many women are attached. When Dr. B.R. Ambedkar born, then ladies or female was not given any significance in life. And there was a historian, Manu, he said, "Pair ki jutti." Well, means no significance was given, no right was given to the woman to get education, to even go to the temple. But at that time, casteism, touchability, economically backwardness not allowed for education. And the same was happened to B.R. Ambedkar. He was not allowed in many places to get higher education. Only one education institution allow B.R. Ambedkar to get education with the upper class. There was
Excuse
one.
me, Dr. Rajendra, am I audible to you?
Yes, yes, madam.
Yes, could you please wind up? You have 2 more minutes with you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
okay, madam. Then B.R. Ambedkar, in totality, he has given so many rights to the women, and even he has given many rights to the male members also. He tried to uplift the Dalit or backward classes. At present, in many colleges and institutions, the students are studying with the help of scholarship, and it is a big contribution of Bhimrao Ambedkar. I think many speakers are there. Time is very less. The story of B.R. Ambedkar, an intellectual person, is very, very long. I hope the various paper presenters and intellectuals will describe the various aspects of B.R. Ambedkar. Once again, I give congratulations to all the paper presenters and my heartiest congratulations to the ICERT. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much, Dr. Rajendra Upal. Thank you so much for so much of insight. And excuse me, you rightly said that he gave a monumental work and support in eradicating poverty and improving the quality of marginalized communities. And that's how we are seeing them being uplifted, educated, and coming up in all the strata of life. Over to you, Harsha, for the guest of honor for today.
Now I would like to invite our next guest of honor and symposium chairperson, Dr. Chaco Jose P. Principal, St. Aloysius College, Elthruth, Thrissur, Kerala. He was honored as Professor M. Ghani Award for the Best College Teachers constituted by the University of Calicut. He is a member of professional bodies such as Indian Economic Association and the Indian Society for Agriculture Economics. He has published over 20 research papers in peer-reviewed and UGC care listed journals and shared his expertise through invited lecture or talk in over 20 events. He is an editor of popular books, for instance, Indian Economy, Contemporary Issue, and Comparative Analysis. It is my immense pleasure to invite you, sir, to this virtual platform for the keynote address. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I hope I am audible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the chief patron of global education and the global education influencer, Ms. Sania, the program coordinator, Ms. Harsha, the chief guest, Professor Dr. Rajendra Kumar Upal, other participants and distinguished guests from different parts of the globe. I'm extremely happy that the International Council for Education, Research and Training has organized a one-day international symposium on the occasion of Dr. Ambedkar's day. And today, this symposium is looking into is being celebrated as Dr. Ambedkar Equality Day. And we are looking into community empowerment, inclusion, and sustainable development through the lens of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. I will briefly speak on the economic contributions of Dr. Ambedkar, and after that, we will have the various paper presentations. Known largely as the father of Indian Constitution and a leader of Dalits, Ambedkar began his career as an economist, making important contributions to the major economic debates of the day. He was, in fact, among the best educated economists of his generation in India, having earned a doctoral degree in economics from the famous Columbia University in US and another from the London School of Economics. One of Ambedkar's most significant contribution to the Indian economy was his emphasis on land reforms. He believed that land redistribution was essential for creating a more equitable society and reducing poverty. He proposed a radical land reform policy that aimed to give land to the landless and ensure that those who owned too much land were forced to redistribute it. His ideas were crucial in shaping the land reform laws in India, which various states followed later. It helped to reduce the concentration of land ownership and promote social justice. Yes, promoting social justice was the keystone of all his economic and political ideas. Ambedkar also emphasized the importance of education and human capital development. He believed that education was essential for the economic development of India and that the state had a responsibility to provide education to all citizens. He was a strong advocate of affirmative action to promote the education of historically disadvantaged communities. Ambedkar's vision of education and human capital development has helped to create a more skilled and competitive workforce in India. The advantage the Indian workforce that enjoy today is shaped from the seeds of the policies that were sown by Ambedkar. Another significant economic idea that Ambedkar championed was industrialization and urbanization. He believed that industrialization was crucial for creating employment opportunities and promoting economic growth. He argued that the development of small-scale industries and entrepreneurship was essential for creating a more dynamic and competitive economy. His ideas laid the foundation for India's industrial policy and helped to promote the growth of manufacturing and service sector in India. Ambedkar's economic ideas have helped to create a more equitable and just society in India. That is something we should all remember today as we have dedicated a day in his remembrance and reverence. His emphasis on various key economic policies like land reforms, education, and industrialization has shaped India's economic policies and, more importantly, priorities. His principles continue to be relevant today as India continues to grapple with issues of poverty, inequality, and economic development. In conclusion, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was a visionary who was also an economist who dedicated his career for the cause of social justice and economic development, especially of the downtrodden. Dr. Ambedkar's ideas and principles have had a profound impact on the Indian economy, and we owe him a debt of gratitude for his contributions. Let us continue to remember his legacy by working towards creating a more equitable and just society. I'm thankful to all of you for your patient listening, and I'm also thankful to the International Council for Education, Research and Training for giving me this opportunity. I wish all the very best to all the paper presenters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chaku Jose, the guest of honor and symposium chairperson for today. And what an extensive and intensive depth to a delicate matter of education and land reforms and social justice. And I think the list is just endless. And how much Dr. Chaku gave soul to the words, I could actually feel him getting really connected and probably taking the vision of Dr. Ambedkar forward. It was pleasure listening to you, Dr. Chaku, and pleasure to have you as guest of honor today. Over to you, Ms. Harsha.
Truly said, knowledge humbles the great man, astonish the common man, and puff up the little man. To illuminate our thoughts and ideas, it's our honor to have a long list of guest speakers. Due to a short time, I request all kindly adhere to the timelines. Without wasting time, I would like to invite our first guest speaker, Dr. Nutan Yadav, who is an associate professor in the Department of English at Government College for Women, Hisar. to share her ideas on insight into Dr. Ambedkar's vision of shining India in 21st century. I welcome you, ma'am. The virtual stage is yours.
Thank you, Madam Harsha, for giving me a chance to present my paper in this symposium. Very good evening to all eminent personalities present here. In spite of wasting my time, I would like to directly go to my paper. Before that, I would like to say some words about Dr. Ambedkar. As we have already heard, he is one of the founder. He is the best known as a founder of our constitution, but he is much more than that. Through his knowledge, experiences, and insight, he brought tremendous change in our country, and this makes him most influencing personality, not only in India, but all over the world. His ideas of life and his philosophy resulted in that we are proud of, that we have world's biggest constitution, we have biggest democracy, and we have the equality in voting power, we have the right to follow religion and the freedom of expression. It is his vision and his concern for the marginalized people and the people of all caste, colors, and creed that he has brought unity in diversity. And this idea of his has made us the world's biggest power in 21st century. No doubt today we are using technology, but we are deeply rooted in our culture. We are teaching and we are giving ideas to the world. In this way, his philosophy and his teaching are more relevant in today's scenario. And uh, Ma'am Harshit, can you please share my PPT? Or I have to share my PPT?
Ma'am, you have to because it's not in my hand. You have to mail me then.
Okay, I will share. I will share. Give me 1 minute only. I will share it. Mm.
Sure.
Yes, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. The topic of my paper is an insight into Dr. Ambedkar's vision of shining India in 21st century. Uh, uh, I have my paper is centered around the education ideas of Dr. Ambedkar, then social equality, social justice, agriculture development, social discrimination, and abolish caste system, gender equality, and the inequality in the economics. And moreover, many more points has been discussed. As in 15 minutes, it's not possible to cover up Ambedkar's vision. I will short to my presentation, just giving the insight of my ideas, what I am willing to convey to my audience. Ambedkar's visions of education was that he wants to bring liberty, equality, fraternity, justice, and the moral character among the students, in spite of giving them bookish knowledge. He thinks that the development of society is possible only with the spread of education, and this education should be for the all. He says that the benefit of that the education should not be like that the others people benefit and the exploitation or the dominance, like illiterate people, they should not be there in the country. It is due to Ambedkar's vision of education policy that the right of education came in India in 2009, when Dr. Manmohan Singh said that the Indian government is pleading to educate every child in India. Now, his area of education is that his focus remains on the women education, because he feels that the women political involvement of the women is very important for the development of country. Again, he is talking about the Dalit women upliftment and the education. Only this can become hegemony, reconstruction of nation. This was his view regarding the nation. His philosophical ideas related to higher education and his relevance to the and the education should be relevant to the present scenario. This is what he said. Then he's talking about the outcome based oriented education, that should be free primary and secondary education without any discrimination in the society. He says universal literacy and numeracy also. He was expecting that there should be education for all. Then the education should be based on the sustainable development and the global civilization. It shows that he's not circled around the development of India only, but he was more concerned about the global civilization also. And the way he gave out for this achieving of this target is to build the safe schools, expand higher education, scholarship should be provided, qualified teachers, and this has resulted that the new NPS has come into the in 21st century, and many of these points have been are the main concern of this education policy. Now, Ambedkar talk about the social equality and social justice. He says that all sections of the society should given be a practice for the welfare. He's a great advocate of the indigenous human right and the social justice, and he is the that social reforming and the mission for the all upliftment is required. Then he's focusing on the ending hunger and the improving access of food. That is, at that time, our country was suffering from the hunger problem, and his concern was also related to the ending hunger, that is malnutrition. And for this purpose, he gave the solution of agriculture productivity and sustainable food production system. And then he emphasized on the use of technology and the resources for the research in this area. For the agriculture development, he said that the three prongs should be there, that the state should have control, then the distribution of equal land, and the emphasis on the free economic with the suitable currency. Dr. Ambedkar principal information strategies formulation in the eradicate hunger would be achieve food security, then the equal distribution of land, and the government interference in land holding. That he emphasized in his ideas and in his philosophy and in his uh, thoughts. Then he is talking about the social discrimination. Because I have shortage of time, that's why I'm speeding up. I know it's not the way to do justice with this man, but still I have to take care of other paper presents also. So sorry for the speed I'm taking. So he's talking about the social discrimination, and he says that the violence and the exploitations of the women and the girl should be taken care of. It is a matter of concern for a developing country. The country should be free from all these problems. Then he's taking out care of the unpaid cares and promoting shared domestic responsibility, that the women working in house should be given
Excuse me,
equal
Dr.
respect.
Newton, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am. You
I'll
are
give you
audible.
another 1 minute to give your
Yes, I will.
concluding
I will.
part.
I will
Thank
take
you.
care of. I will take care of. Okay. Then he's talking about the social discrimination also. He has given some points regarding social discrimination. Then the means of achieving this is the financial security and safety to the women. And he has found that the education of the women is equally very important. Then he's talking about the caste system, which he is greatly known for that. He says that the caste system is an hindrance in the society in developing India. So there should be the that there's any elimination of the caste system, he says, then he's talking about the gender inequality, that the property ownership, promoting empowerment of women, yes,
Dr.
last 2
Newton,
minutes.
are we good
Last,
to? Yes, thank you.
yeah, last 1 second or, okay. So many points I have added in my presentation and in my paper, but because of shortage of time, I would like to conclude with the adjectives that I would like to use for Dr. Ambedkar. He's a pole star of our country that will remain forever. He's a torch that will always be shining and give direction to our country and all over the world. He's a sage who has the solutions of all the problems in his teachings and in his philosophy. And it is an endless list for his, in fact, he's a visionary and he will remain forever for he's remembered all over the world and in India for his teaching and for his philosophical ideas that he gives to the world. Thank you very much. It's very
Thank
difficult
you,
to
Dr. Newton. Thank you so much. Your title, An Insight into Dr. Ambedkar's Vision of Shining India, could not be put into the time that was given to you. But how beautifully you weaved around the words of stressing on morality, pre-primary and secondary education, investment in agriculture, and the global citizenship, and not to forget focus on the women involvement, and that's how you see the moderator, the chief patron, and we have so many women speakers today on this virtual platform. Thank you so much, Dr. Newton. Over to you, Ms. Harsha.
Thank you so much.
ma'am.
Our next distinguished speaker is Dr. Delight Omoji Idika, Senior Research Fellow in Institute of Education at University of Calabar, Nigeria. I welcome you to deliver the lecture on Can there be equality and inclusion in a deprived learning environment? The power of education, history, and a rethink of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's envisionment for Nigerian education system. I welcome you, sir. Dr. Delight Omoji Itika, are you there? I think I should call the next speaker. Now our next speaker is Dr. Priyanka Singla. Oh, you are there. Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead. Ma'am, you are not audible. I think there is some technical glitch. Ma'am, you are not audible. You are on mute. Ma'am, I request you to kindly rejoin.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, completely.
Okay.
And your PPT is also visible. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Greetings to everyone, particularly my beloved organization members, strong and energetic, holding meetings monthly. Most occasions when people are sleeping, ICERT members are working. I'm so happy to be a part of this organization. Thank you very much. I am Dr. Delight Idika, been introduced. Oh, give me my topic now. Your topic you were looking at. It's not here. Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. I am looking at, can there be equality and inclusion in a deprived learning environment, the power of educational history, and a rethink of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's visioning for Nigeria's education system. Now, the issue of Nigerian education is as old as man. And several things have been done, policies have been put in place, and yet, every now and then, it is being talked about as if nothing has been done. And that is why I'm linking it back to this great vision. This great vision, to see how this vision, which has impacted the entire world, impacted organizations, can impact on Nigerian education system. The research is a qualitative one, a narrative kind of research, and the study used both secondary and primary data and has been anchored on the theory of the deprivative theory of gods of 1970. And then literature bordering on the subject of the study have been reviewed. Now, some of the major concepts used here have been conceptually and contextually been discussed in the paper. Now, the educational environment in Nigeria has not been a very pleasant one, and it has been a critical problem, among stakeholders, among teachers, among students, among parents, even policymakers and government. It has been a situation where the learners are not encouraged. Imagine a child who comes out from a home that is not stimulating, nothing exciting about reading. There is no space, a comfortable space the child can find to study. There are no books. There are no computer accessories, no internet connection. There is not even transport to take a child to school. And when such occur, we know that this is deprivation. And these are some of the environments that our celebrant talks so much about when he envisioned them. And that was why I linked to such. The educational environments need to receive the voice of Dr. Ambedkar, need to receive the vision of Dr. Ambedkar so that there can be a transformation. The paper, actually, by promoting the envisaged view of Dr. Ambedkar as what must be upheld in all the countries, particularly the least developing countries, as used by the paper, as a means of not only achieving a sustainable social, economic, political, and a just society, to have educationally empowered persons and community through equitable access, through inclusion, a situation where everyone will be part of what is happening. It is not by your background that you are kept out of what goes on in education. It is not by your age. It's not by your sex. It's not by any other personal difference, but you are part of what is happening in education. That is a situation we need. We need, and we have seen that these have received their anchor from the vision of this great man. Now, when you look at Nigerian education, most importantly, the policy, the goal of education of Nigeria. I'm not going to read about the 5 popular goals of Nigerian education, but the third goal that talks about provision of equal access to qualitative educational opportunities for all citizens at all levels of education within and outside the formal school system. You will discover that the Nigerian education needs the thinking of this great man. The Nigerian education needs to transform to a situation where learning can take place in an environment and excite a child, and that child goes home with learning adequately stored and is ready to affect his society. Now, apart from the Nigerian economy, there are several other least developing countries that have borrowed a leaf from the vision of this great man. Countries like Mexico, where you find 26% of children in school, far above every other country. Those who cannot afford educational resource. Now, compared with a country like Austria, compared with a country where we have less than 1.5% of children already have the materials, to study. So many countries should be keyed in. That is the essence of my paper. It's unfortunate that I don't have the time to buttress all the facts I have laid in the paper. But in summary, I want to tell us that any country that listens to the voice of this man and refuses to use his lens to study the educational system and then have a rethink of several places to touch, the accessibility, the equitable, the inclusiveness, the equity, I wish I have time to talk about it. Equality and equity are different. We can be put on the same level, on the same pedestal, the same classroom, the same teacher teaching us, the same level. That is equality. That is equality, which he proposed. Now, looking at equality and equity, they appear to be the same, but in the implementation methods, you can find that these two concepts are different. We can be brought to a position where we can now be able to move further by tapping our potential, our innate ability. That is where equitability comes in. Equitability will give you what you need to tap the best in you. And equality is on the same level. Therefore, if you look at a tree that can represent a social system, station, even though our social system are embedded with some, like the last speaker said, some partiality, some segregation, but the tree as a natural social system is there with nothing changing it. And now find two individuals, A and B, trying to climb the same ladder to be able to access fruits. Now, these two ladders, for B person who is shorter, cannot reach the fruit, but the A person is taller. The same ladder, the same platform provided can get the fruit for him. Now, what does equity do? Equity now increases the ladder for the B to be able to do it. So we need an education system that will engage both equity and equality for a balanced education. Like the lights for the world. I particularly picked up that NGO. They have done so much. And I picked that NGO because I want to encourage other NGOs, nationally and internationally, that will join hands with governments to ensure that this frontier of inclusion and equitable access is pushed to the extent that no policy can resist implementing it. So I ticked the light of the world. They have tried. I went into their strategies and discovered that they, like ICERT, stop at nothing to achieve. They are in many countries of the world, linking up with teachers in their various institutions, giving them good training, effective training, even proposing the training of the children with special need, the disabled child, encouraging that child that thinks that all has ended, that education cannot get him what he wants. They are doing the work that UNESCO, that believe that for a transformation in the classroom, the teacher is the main player. The teacher is the inclusion mover. Therefore, my paper has taken time to x-ray each and every one of the players in the field, and to know that Dr. Ambedkar has done his own and gone. We are now in the field to carry this vision to the uttermost part of the world, to all educational systems, to all governments, to all individuals, to all communities. Way forward. To all communities, to ensure that the vision does not die within. In conclusion, okay, let's look at the way forward. In the present Indian society. I have gone into education history as by empowering this paper, because I know that the education history is why I am able to know about this man. And I want to also propose for electronic documentation of artifact history, so that the children that are yet to be born will remember a man like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and it will not end with any generation. That is why I looked at the power of educational history. Now, what is the way forward? In the present Indian society, I compared it with the caste system, where there were 4 major castes, and that situation, an environment could not give room for optimal performance of a learning child, an anxious child. But compared with the present society, I have not been to India, but with what ICERT and other organizations are doing, I don't think that India is still where it was. And if this kind of cry can emanate from a place like India, in the present Indian society, the motivation to celebrate annually the voice of equality and inclusion may not have come from educational policies that pay less attention to these educational and developmental key drivers. It must come from a society, an environment, a social system that is ready to do what it takes to move forward the vision of this man. The pursuit of qualitative and functional, as well as inclusive education and society, is the heart of any nation that aims at sustainable development. The lens, together with the voice of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, is what we need, not only in India, where this envisioning is fast transforming its systems and society, but in most nations of the world today. We need it. That same vision of achieving a better environment for sustainable goal attainment has become the anchor of this Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goals was just an agenda of 2015, a few years ago, but this vision had been, and so that became the anchor of Sustainable Development Goal, which we believe is realizable by 2030. This will imply that the achievement of equality, the achievement of fairness, the achievement of access, inclusiveness will ultimately produce a well-interacted and developed society where education will continue to transform with the ever-changing global society if we key into this vision. Conclusion. Education, we have seen, is multifaceted, is a discipline, and as well as a tool known for development and preservation of society, for the fact that it can move, cultural ideas, religion, orientation, name it, even institutions, from generation to generation, makes me respect education. It thrives and sustains in environments where equitable access has been firmly engraved and implemented as part of educational policy. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar envisioned a transformed society as one whose entire sections are economically developed, socially equal, and emancipated, and culturally civilized and free. His vision of political, economic, social, and cultural inclusion of all units of the society in the process of development is what every nation needs. Every nook and cranny of the world needs it. And we are here in ICERT to push it to the world until the entire world is transformed. We will not rest. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening, and God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Delight Edika. You greatly went into the detail of Sustainable Development Goal number 4 that was laid by UN in 2015 about the inclusion, equitable, and quality education. And I must say, I would like to tip my hat that you, as a women educator from Nigeria is not what it was 10 years back or 20 years back. Today, as a women educator, I tip my hat to you that you, I, and so many women can stand and talk freely, express ourselves, and take our society forward as a great movement from the perspective of Baba Sahib. Thank you so much, Dr. Delight. Thank you. It's an honor to have you. Over to you, Miss Harsha.
Thank you too. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was such an honor to listen to you, ma'am. Now I would like to call upon Dr. Priyanka Singla, Associate Professor of English at Government College for Women, Hisar, to share her wisdom on the impact of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's teaching on community development as portrayed in Untouchable. I welcome you, ma'am. The stage is yours.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay in joining this session. Actually, I have been forced to quit again and again because of some network issues. So please bear with me. Since because of the paucity of time, I will go ahead and start my lecture or paper. I will start with some quotes on Ambedkar. एक साहब जन्मे थे जिन्होंने किया देश का उत्कृष्ट उत्थान, पिछड़ों अति पिछड़ों के लिए बनाए कई धर्मार्थ न्यास और कई शिक्षण संस्थान, शिक्षित बनो संगठित हो संघर्ष करो का दिया मूल मंत्र प्रधान, एक साहब जन्मे थे जिन्होंने किया देश का उत्कृष्ट उत्थान. This is Baba Sahib Ambedkar for all of us. My first brush with Dr. Ambedkar as an adult was when I started teaching, and we taught untouchability and caste system in class. And then I was struck with his vision about caste system and social equality. And later on, as a history student, I was able to understand the nuances which he faced while making the constitution. So it is really a pleasure to add to my knowledge about this great man by attending this conference today. When I talk about Ambedkar in context of literature, almost every Indian author has been influenced by him. There is no doubt about it. And Untouchable is a novel which was written way back in 1920s. However, it continues to affect us even today because, as Ambedkar quoted in his book, Caste System and Untouchability, that you can't break the two apart. The two go hand in hand, and if you have to end one, you have to end both of them. That is the underlining solution to all the problems of caste and untouchability in India. So, to understand Baba Sahib's significance in India's social and political history, it is essential to note that caste-based discrimination was endemic during that time. It has been in our culture before Ambedkar's rise also, with millions of Dalits or untouchables oppressed and exploited by entrenched upper caste social norms. Ambedkar's teachings provided a powerful alternative to the mainstream discourse. His philosophy emphasized the need to uplift society by fighting against the social hierarchies and aiming for social, economic, and political equality. Ambedkar put forth his philosophy of community development through his speeches, writings, and political activism. One of the key principles of his teachings is the concept of self-help through mutual help. This principle emphasized that communities should come together and pool their resources to work towards common goals. The idea was that the more marginalized the community, the more important it was for them to unite to fight for their rights. Mulk Raj Anand's novel Untouchable revolves around the life of a young Dalit boy named Bakha, who faces daily humiliation and discrimination in his village due to his caste. Bakha's encounter with a group of Ambedkarites on a political rally and his reading of Ambedkar's book inspired him to take action to fight against the oppressive social norms that had held him back. The novel provides a powerful insight into the power of Ambedkar's teachings and their potential to transform individuals and communities. Through Bakha's transformation, the novel conveys hope and possibility. Despite the desolate social and political realities, of caste violence and exclusion. Baba Saheb's teachings remain a vital source of inspiration for millions of Indians of all castes, classes, and gender identities. The significance of his thoughts on community development is reflected in the works of various intellectuals, artists, and activists. The novel Untouchable serves as an excellent example of the potential of Ambedkar's teachings to bring about positive change in the lives of the disenfranchised. As we look to a more equitable and inclusive future, Ambedkar's teachings will undoubtedly remain of crucial importance in promoting community development and social justice. Through this novel, Anand has highlighted the problems of political inclusion, social inclusion, and education, which Dalit needs but do not have in this Indian society. As such, even today, when we look in our surroundings, I think that to be sensitized about it is more important than reading about it. Instead of preaching about it, we need to follow the teachings of Ambedkar. And I think this symposium is all about that. So thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to participate in this symposium. And that will be all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Priyanka. Your topic on untouchability and how you went into the detail and depth, and you were talking about the synopsis of the book on untouchability. I hope it touches everyone's heart out here on this virtual platform, and we go back as a true human in a humane nature, that human touch is the best touch for any grieving soul. Thank you so much, Dr. Priyanka. Over to you, Ms. Harsha.
I absolutely agree with you, ma'am. Now, our next distinguished speaker is Mr. Abhishek Sharma, who is an academic counselor, assistant professor, and project manager in IGNOU RC Delhi 3, Atma Ram Sanatan Dharm College, University of Delhi. He will be speaking on समावेशी वर्ग में शिक्षा, समता और समानता, भीमराव अंबेडकर राव जी अंबेडकर का दृष्टिकोण. I welcome you, sir. The virtual stage is yours.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Just give me a minute. I will share my PPT.
Sure, sir.
My PPT is visible to you?
It's not visible right now, sir. Now it is.
Yes, it is visible. Please go ahead.
Yeah. तो देखिए, मैम ने बताया कि मेरा टॉपिक है समावेशी वर्ग में शिक्षा, समानता और दृष्टिकोण. तो समावेशी वर्ग से भीमराव अंबेडकर का क्या संबंध है? तो समावेशी वर्ग से तात्पर्य उस समाज के लोगों से है जो अपने जन्म, जाति, धर्म, लिंग आदि के आधार पे शोषित होते आए हैं शुरू से. अंबेडकर के संबंध में समावेशी वर्ग उन लोगों के लिए कहा गया है जो बुनियादी वस्तुओं को प्राप्त करने के लिए सक्षम तो थे, लेकिन हमारे पुराने भारतीय समाज के वर्गीकरण जो कास्ट सिस्टम है के कारण संभव नहीं हो पाया, या फिर समाज का उच्च वर्ग उन्हें इन चीजों को पाने का अधिकार नहीं दिया. तो अंबेडकर की दृष्टि में समावेशी वर्ग वो वर्ग है जहाँ पे वो एलिजिबल तो थे उस चीज को पाने के लिए, लेकिन जाति व्यवस्था के कारण उनको उस अधिकार से वंचित रखा गया. समावेशी वर्ग का विकास और समावेशी समाज की पहचान निर्माण के साथ उनके वैचारिक समर्थन के लिए फायदेमंद तो था, क्योंकि समावेशी समाज में जागरूकता बढ़ रही है. जाति आधारित व्यवस्था की पारंपरिक हिंदू समाज व्यवस्था के लिए सामाजिक न्याय सुनिश्चित नहीं कर सकती थी. डॉक्टर BR अम्बेडकर ने सभी के लिए समावेशी शिक्षा की वकालत की और समावेशी समाज की शैक्षिक सशक्तिकरण का आह्वान किया. उन्होंने भारत में एक समावेशी समाज बनाने के लिए शिक्षा के महत्व पे विचार जोर दिया। उनके प्रयास ने आधुनिक युग में समावेशी वर्ग, जिसमें दलित, हाशिए, स्त्री व अन्य पिछड़ी जाति के सभी लोगों के बीच शिक्षा के स्तर को बढ़ावा दिया, उन्हें समाज में सशक्त बनाया। बात करी जाए इंडियन कास्ट सिस्टम की, तो हमारा इंडियन कास्ट सिस्टम जो है वो इस तरीके से डेवलप हुआ, जहाँ पे सबसे पहले ब्राह्मण कास्ट, क्षत्रिय, वैश्य, शूद्र, परिहास, हरिजन, अनटचेबल, चिल्ड्रंस ऑफ गॉड नाम से इन्हें पुकारा गया। भीमराव अंबेडकर जी ने इन परिहास, हरिजन, अनटचेबल, चिल्ड्रंस ऑफ गॉड को ब्राह्मण के इक्वल बनाने के लिए ही समता और समानता सूत्र प्रदान किया। और समता से क्या तात्पर्य है? समता से तात्पर्य है कि उन सभी व्यक्तियों में वो क्षमता तो थी कि वो जो अपर कास्ट के है या सोशली इकोनॉमिकली सक्षम है, उनके इक्वली तो थे, लेकिन शुरू से शोषित होते हुए आए दलित और अनटचेबल लोगों को वो समता का अधिकार प्रदान करने की बात करी। वही इक्वालिटी, अगर इक्वालिटी की बात करी जाए तो इक्वालिटी में हमें उन्हें शिक्षा तथा बाकी अन्य सुविधाएं जिसके लिए वो पात्र थे, लेकिन उन्हें वंचित रखा गया। इस चीज के लिए भीमराव जी ने, बी आर अम्बेडकर ने पहल की। इसी के साथ डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर ने शिक्षा करने के लिए प्रत्येक बच्चा साक्षर बने और जीवन भर समानता का होना अति आवश्यक है। इसके
Mr.
साथ ही
Abhishek, am I
डॉक्टर
audible?
बी आर, यस मैम, या
आपकी तरफ से थोड़ा सा साउंड इशू हो रहा है, आप चेक करेंगे? आपका इंटरनेट स्टेबल है?
जस्ट अ मिनट।
Yeah, sure.
नाउ इट इज ओके मैम।
Please proceed. Thank you, Abhishek.
ओके, तो डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर की शैक्षिक दृष्टिकोण की अगर हम बात करें, तो बी आर अम्बेडकर जी ने विद्यालय व शैक्षिक संस्थानों के लिए कुछ बातें रखी, जिसमें विद्यालय और शैक्षिक संस्थान में सभी लोगों के साथ समता और समानता का व्यवहार हो। वहां पे उनके जाति, कलर या उनके लिंग के आधार पे उनके साथ भेदभाव ना हो, इसलिए शैक्षिक संस्थान को एक ऐसा बताया जहां पर उनके लिए जो शैक्षिक संस्थान है, उनके लिए बच्चे की कास्ट, कलर या लिंग के आधार पे वर्गीकरण की जगह उन्हें एक व्यक्ति और एक फ्यूचर के लिए आने वाला कल बताया। फिर उसके बाद बात करें हम शिक्षा और छात्र की, तो शिक्षा का जो है छात्र के साथ बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट रोल है, जिसमें अगर एक छात्र किसी भी जाति का है, अगर उसको अच्छे से शिक्षित किया जाए तो में वो बहुत अच्छा निर्भर बनेगा। और जो पॉवर्टी और इकोनॉमिकली डिप्राइव्ड क्लास है, वो हमारे समाज में धीरे धीरे खत्म होगा। फिर उसके बाद अगर शिक्षा और शिक्षक की बात की जाए, तो शिक्षक एक ऐसा व्यक्ति है जो एक समाज का निर्माण करता है। तो वहीं पे अगर शिक्षक आपस में भेदभाव करेगा, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं किसी के साथ भी अन्याय होगा। तो शिक्षक का एक कर्तव्य है कि वो अपने आपस में भेदभाव करने की जगह सबको एक समान नजर से देखे और उसका कल्याण करे। फिर अगर बात करें हम शिक्षा और ज्ञान, तो ज्ञान के द्वारा ही शिक्षा प्राप्त हो सकती है, और उस ज्ञान में जाति, लिंग आधारित कोई भी आपका पर्सपेक्टिव नहीं होना चाहिए। और बी आर अम्बेडकर का लास्ट जो है, उन्होंने शिक्षा को भोजन के बराबर बताया है। शिक्षा को भोजन के बराबर बताने का उनका मतलब ये था कि अगर हम शिक्षा ग्रहण करेंगे तो वो हमारे फ्यूचर के लिए भोजन की तरह ही उपयोगी होगा। जिस तरीके से हम खाना खाते हैं वो हमारे लिए अच्छा, उसी तरीके अगर हर तो वो उसका आने वाला कल सुधारेगा। शिक्षा का समाज के साथ भी यही संबंध है कि एक समाज जब किसी को भी उसकी जाति या लिंग के आधार पे ना जज करके उसके व्यक्तित्व पे, उसके गुणों के आधार पे उसको समता और समानता प्रदान करेगा, तो वो आगे बढ़ेगा। बी आर अम्बेडकर ने इसके लिए पढ़ो और पढ़ो का नारा दिया है। दैट्स इट। अगर इसके साथ ही मैं कंक्लूड करूं अपना ये पेपर, तो यही है कि B.R. अम्बेडकर ने सभी डिप्राइज क्लास को, जो शोषित क्लास है, उनको समता और समानता के अधिकार से नापा और उसी के आधार पे उन्होंने अपने जो समाज के लोग हैं जिनका वर्गीकरण कर दिया गया लिंग के आधार पे, जाति के आधार पे या कलर के आधार पे, उन सभी को समता और समानता के लिए शिक्षा को उपयोगी बताया और शिक्षा के द्वारा ही ये सभी चीजें प्राप्त करी जा सकती हैं। Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Abhishek, and for all the other listeners who are not Hindi speaking. Am I audible to all? Yes. So those who could not understand, I'll put it across. He was talking about again the sustainable development goal number 4, where is inclusion and inclusive power to all when it comes to education. He was talking about not bringing in the caste, color, creed, or sex when it comes to education, and the vision of Baba Sahib Ambedkar as a visionary to provide education to all, same standard of education, whether they belong to any strata of life, the 4 divisions of the Indian society that India has otherwise been suffering with, to grow up, grow out of it and take India forward. Thank you so much, Abhishek. Over to you, Harsha.
Our next
before we go further, ma'am, I would like to thank you because as my paper said, equity and equality. आज के जितने भी पेपर स्पीकर्स हैं उन सभी का पेपर जो है वो इंग्लिश में है और जो मेरा था वो हिंदी में था, तो यही शो करता है इक्विटी एंड इक्वालिटी. थैंक यू सो मच.
And to add to that, Abhishek, your age is such an added advantage for us that if we have visionaries at your age, then definitely the future is bright, not just for India, but for everyone across the globe. Thank you so much, Abhishek. Over to you, Ms. Harsha.
Absolutely, ma'am. I totally agree with you. Our next speaker is Dr. Rakesh Kumar, Assistant Professor of Political Science in GMN College, Ambedkar. He will share his expertise on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Introduction and Life. I welcome you, sir. The stage is yours. Dr. Rakesh Kumar. Dr.
Good evening, ma'am.
Sir, your voice is echoing.
Okay, I will.
I think you must have joined with 2 devices. If I'm not
Good evening, madam.
wrong. Yes.
I am audible proper.
Properly, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. सम्मानित मंच, संपूर्ण ICRT की टीम, मैं धन्यवाद करता हूं ICRT की संपूर्ण टीम का कि आज के दिन उन्होंने जो यौवन किया है, ऐसा एक योजन जिसके माध्यम से आज भारत ही नहीं बल्कि भारत की सीमाओं के बाहर एक ऐसी शख्सियत को याद करने का मौका हमें दिया है. डॉक्टर B.R. अम्बेडकर जी के जीवन के बारे में, उनकी कार्यशैली, उनकी पद्धति, उनके विचारों, उन सब का अगर हम जिक्र करें तो एक बहुत ही बहुआयामी व्यक्तित्व के धनी थे. एज ए स्कॉलर, एज ए पॉलिटिशियन, एज ए सोशल रिफॉर्मर, यकीनन एक ऐसे व्यक्ति को शब्दों में नहीं बांधा जा सकता. अध्ययन की सुविधा के लिए कोई भी भाषा का प्रयोग करके आज ICRT के माध्यम से ये जो एक कार्य किया जा रहा है, उनको याद किया जा रहा है, क्योंकि आज भारत में नहीं बल्कि संपूर्ण विश्व में एक ऐसी शख्सियत के वास्तविक विचारों की व्यवहार में लाने की जरूरत है. डॉक्टर B.R. अम्बेडकर जी एक व्यक्ति नहीं, एक युग थे। उन्होंने कहा कि जीवन लंबा नहीं, बेहतर होना चाहिए, और उस जीवन को बेहतर तरीके से यापन करने के लिए जो संस्था के माध्यम से, ICERT के माध्यम से जो प्रयास किए जा रहे हैं, लोगों को जागरूक किया जा रहा है शिक्षा के माध्यम से, ऐसी संगोष्ठियों के माध्यम से कि व्यक्ति स्वयं की पहचान कर सके। निश्चित रूप से वो एक सिद्धांत, वो नियम व्यक्ति में तर्कशीलता पैदा करते हैं, व्यक्ति को एक सद्भाव की ओर अग्रसर करते हैं। डॉक्टर BR अम्बेडकर जी ने जो समाज में अनूठा परिवर्तन किया है, उसकी कोई मिसाल नहीं है, जिससे आने वाली जनरेशंस हमेशा उनको याद करेंगी। सदियों से जो दबे कुचले लोग थे, उन्हें सम्मान से जीवन जीने का तरीका डॉक्टर BR अम्बेडकर जी ने दिया। डॉक्टर BR अम्बेडकर जी की 132वीं वर्षगांठ पर आज हम उनको याद कर रहे हैं। उनके जीवन के, उनके सिद्धांतों को आधार बनाकर के भविष्य में किस प्रकार सकारात्मक स्तर पर स्थायित्व स्थापित किया जा सके। डॉक्टर अम्बेडकर जी का जीवन संघर्षों से परिपूर्ण था, लेकिन उन्होंने उन्हीं संघर्षों को एक आधार बनाया, एक शस्त्र बनाया, और आज भारत में नहीं बल्कि पूरे विश्व में उनको याद किया जा रहा है। जब उनके प्रारंभिक स्तर को देखते हैं, प्रारंभिक जीवन को देखते हैं कि एक बहुत छोटे से परिवार में, एक दलित परिवार में उनका जन्म हुआ। पर्याप्त मात्रा में जीवन यापन करने के साधन नहीं थे, लेकिन बचपन से वो एक कुशाग्र बुद्धि के थे, और ऐसी बुद्धि, ऐसी चेतना शायद ही हमें कहीं देखने को मिलती है। इतने बड़े देश में एक ऐसी शख्सियत का होना अपने आप में एक बहुत ही, अगर हम कहें कि एक ज्वलंत उदाहरण होगा, जिसने देश की कायाकल्प करके रख दी। वो जो परिवार का प्रभाव है, जो परिवार की घटनाएं हैं, विद्यालय में जो घटनाएं उनके साथ घटी, उसके बाद जो प्राथमिक शिक्षा प्राप्त करने के बाद उच्च शिक्षा के लिए विदेशों में जाना, किस तरह से उठकर गए, ये एक बहुत बड़ा प्रश्न है। आज के इस भौतिक युग में हम देखते हैं कि जहां चारों ओर कलह और द्वेष का वातावरण छाया हुआ है, हम कुछ घटनाओं के कारण, कुछ परिस्थितियों के कारण स्वयं को कुंठित कर लेते हैं। लेकिन उनका इतना विशाल हृदय था कि उन्होंने उन जितनी भी उनके साथ जो तिरस्कृत किया गया, उसे एक साधन के रूप में इस्तेमाल किया, और देखते ही देखते भारत ही नहीं बल्कि विश्व में भी एक ऐसी कुशाग्र बुद्धि, एक ऐसी नॉलेज, एक विजडम के अपार धनी बने। डॉक्टर BR अम्बेडकर जी हमारे जीवन के एक आदर्श हैं। उनके जो सिद्धांत हैं, राजनीतिक सिद्धांतों की बात करते हैं, और जो रूप और स्वरूप हैं, व्यूज रिगार्डिंग स्टेट, डेमोक्रेसी, इक्वालिटी, जस्टिस, जो सोशल जस्टिस, राइट्स, ये सारी चीजें देखकर लगता है कि एक आदमी इतनी सारी चीजों का संग्रह करके एक समाज को एक नई दिशा और दशा प्रदान कर रहा है। हम ये स्वीकार करते हैं कि समाजवाद की जो स्थापना आज हम देख रहे हैं, उनके पीछे ऐसी ही शख्सियत का हाथ है। समाज को नई दिशा और दिशा देने के लिए हम ये जानते हैं, एट द टाइम ऑफ फ्रीडम मूवमेंट भारत में बहुत सारी ऐसी सोशल इवल्स थी, ऐसी शख्सियत जो इंडियन थिंकर्स थे, पॉलिटिकल स्कॉलर्स थे। उन्होंने अनुभव किया कि पहले देश को आजाद कराएं और उसके बाद एक ऐसी व्यवस्था का निर्माण करें, और ऐसे व्यवस्था का निर्माण एक निश्चित सिद्धांतों और नियमों के माध्यम से उन्होंने करके दिखाया। संविधान, जिसके माध्यम से आज हम खुले रूप में एक आपस में बात कर रहे हैं, एक ऐसे मंच पर आपस में बैठे हुए हैं। उनके जीवन की जो घटनाएं हैं, वो हमारे लिए आज एक मार्गदर्शक के रूप में आगे खड़ी हैं, और हर स्तर पर हमें भविष्य में और आगे ले जाने की बात कर रहे हैं। डॉक्टर BR अम्बेडकर के जो जस्टिस और सोशल जस्टिस की बात करते, जो उन्होंने अपोज किया चीजों को, जो समाज को कुंठित कर रही थी, द्वेष आपस में फैला रही थी, उसमें वर्ण व्यवस्था का उन्होंने विरोध किया। उन्होंने कहा कि जब ईश्वर ने किसी व्यक्ति विशेष में कोई परिवर्तन नहीं किया तो व्यक्ति ऐसा नहीं कर सकता। और ऐसी व्यवस्था को और भी जो प्रॉब्लम्स थी, जो कास्ट थी, और उसके बाद जो अनटचेबिलिटी की बात उन्होंने की, जेंडर इक्वालिटी के लिए पॉजिटिव एफर्ट्स किए, अपलिफ्टमेंट ऑफ लोअर क्लासेस, इतने सारे सिद्धांतों का संग्रह एक व्यक्ति में समावेश होना अपने आप में एक ऐसा आदर्श, एक ऐसी शख्सियत जो भारत के लिए नहीं बल्कि विदेश के लिए एक हीरा बनकर उभर कर आया। और समानता की अब हम बात करते हैं, जस्टिस और सोशल जस्टिस की। स्टेट कि जस्टिस इज दैट लाइफ ऑफ ए स्टेट वेयर ईच इंडिविजुअल एंड ईच क्लास परफॉर्म्स इट्स एप्रोप्रिएट फंक्शंस। ये जो जस्टिस, प्रत्येक व्यक्ति को उसका उचित भाग मिलना चाहिए, एक रिप्रेजेंटेशन के माध्यम से जो फिलॉसफी उन्होंने बिल्डअप की है, उसमें डॉक्टर बी.आर. अम्बेडकर जी का बहुत ज्यादा कंट्रीब्यूशन है। जीवन के स्तर से लेके, प्रारंभिक स्वरूप से लेके सामाजिक, आर्थिक, राजनीतिक, हर स्तर पर उनके विचारों का जो संग्रह है, आज का समाज उनको आधार मानकर अपने जीवन के वास्तविक लक्ष्यों और उद्देश्यों की प्राप्ति कर रहा है, उसमें डॉक्टर बी.आर. अम्बेडकर की एक महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका रही है। आज हम ये अनुभव करते हैं कि जो सेक्युलर स्टेट है, जो इक्वालिटी है, जस्टिस है, सोशल जस्टिस है, और बहुत सारी जो सोशल इवल्स हैं उनका जो विरोध किया गया, और जो लोअर क्लास को बिल्डअप करने के लिए एक पॉजिटिविटी आती है, उसमें कहीं ना कहीं हम ये चीजें अनुभव कर रहे हैं। तो ये डॉक्टर बी.आर. अम्बेडकर जी का एक आधार था। उन्होंने जो पॉलिटिक्स में उनके जो घटनाएं थी जीवन की, 1925 में बंबई विधान परिषद में नामांकित किए गए, 1930 में गोलमेज कॉन्फ्रेंस में उन्होंने भाग लिया, और जिस तरह से जो परिस्थितियां बदल रही हैं समाज की, तो आज हम अनुभव करते हैं कि डॉक्टर बी.आर. अम्बेडकर आज भी हमारे लिए उतने ही प्रासंगिक और सार्थक हैं। डॉक्टर बी.आर. अम्बेडकर के अगर सिद्धांतों के वास्तविक स्तर पर बात करते हैं, तो उनके जीवन को आधार बनाकर हमें अपने लिए नए रास्तों को तैयार करना है। और ये जो संभावनाएं बढ़ रही हैं आज के समय में, वो एक आदर्श, एक पर्सनालिटी के माध्यम से बिल्डअप की जा सकती हैं। तो डॉक्टर बी.आर. अम्बेडकर जी के विचारों का, जहां उनके जीवन के उनके स्वरूप, उनकी कार्यशैली, उनके सिद्धांतों की अगर हम बात करें, तो व्यवहारिक स्तर पर अपने जीवन में स्थापित करने की जरूरत है, तभी एक सभ्य समाज और एक आदर्श राज्य की स्थापना संभव हो पाएगी। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you so much, Dr. Rakesh, and you are assistant professor of Pol Science, and I think you couldn't have put it more beautifully. This is all for the non-Hindi people on the group. There were certain words which were coming up again and again, and I'll give you the literal translation of certain words. When he was talking about Bemisal, Baba Saheb being Bemisal, it means an unmatched personality on this earth, with the vision and the perspective that he had about being a secular or rising out of growing with education. He was talking about, Dr. Rakesh mentioned Baba Sahib with Kushagra Buddhi. So when we say Kushagra Buddhi, we're talking about absolutely sharp brain, way back, 132 years back, when that person had a vision. Imagine, we are growing multifolds thanks to the vision way then. Thank you so much, Dr. Rakesh, for your insight on today's symposium. Over to you, Ms. Harsha.
On special request of Dr. Bashra Sumaya, because of ongoing Ramzan, she has to break her fast. So if other speakers allow me to make small change in the schedule by calling her next, Shall I, ma'am?
I think it will be a yes from everyone. Please go ahead, Ms. Harsha. This is a very small inclusion that we can accommodate a person. Please go ahead.
Yes. So our next distinguished speaker is Dr. Bashra Sumaya, Assistant Professor in the School of Education and Humanities, Manav Rachna University, Faridabad, to deliver her lecture on strengthening community institutions for sustainable development, Dr. Ambedkar's vision for local governance and decentralization. I welcome you, ma'am. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you all the participants for allowing for this schedule of the presentation. Please give me a minute. I'll just share my screen. Ma'am, please let me know, is my screen visible to all?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Sure, ma'am. So the title of my presentation is Strengthening Community Institutions for Sustainable Development, Dr. Ambedkar's Vision for Local Governance and Decentralization. So this is an overview of my presentation. In my presentation, I'll cover a brief background about Dr. Ambedkar and his contributions to India. Then we shall see the different levels of governance and their roles in the development process. Then we shall understand the local governance and decentralization, followed by Dr. Ambedkar's vision for local governance and decentralization. Then we shall see strengthening community institutions in achieving sustainable development. And then we shall have a look at some case studies of successful local governance and decentralization initiatives that have led to sustainable development, followed by the conclusion of the presentation. To start with, I'll give a brief background of Dr. Ambedkar's vision, Ambedkar and his contributions to India. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was a social reformer, jurist, and political leader who dedicated his life to fighting for the rights of the oppressed and marginalized communities in India, particularly the Dalits or the untouchables. He was also instrumental in drafting India's constitution, which is considered one of the most progressive and inclusive in the world. Dr. Ambedkar was born into a Mahar family in the British-administered province of the Bombay Presidency. Despite facing immense discrimination and hardships, he obtained his higher education and eventually completed his PhD in economics from Columbia University, New York. Upon returning to India, Dr. Ambedkar became a prominent advocate for Dalit rights and worked tirelessly to abolish the caste system, which he viewed as the root cause of India's social and economic inequalities. He also played a key role in the Dalit Buddhist movement, which sought to provide an alternative spiritual path for Dalits who had been excluded from mainstream Hinduism. In addition to his social activism, Dr. Ambedkar was also a skilled scholar, a legal scholar, and served as the chairman of the drafting committee for India's constitution. He was responsible for incorporating several progressive provisions in the constitution, including affirmative action programs to uplift disadvantaged groups, the abolition of untouchability, and the guarantee of fundamental rights to all citizens, regardless of their caste or religion. Dr. Ambedkar's contribution to India's social and political landscape have had a lasting impact, and he is widely regarded as one of the country's most important and influential figures. His legacy continues to inspire movements for social justice and equality, both in India and around the world. Now we shall see the different levels of governance and their roles in the development process. Governance refers to the processes and structures that are put in place to facilitate decision-making, implementation, and management of resources within a society. There are various levels of governance, including global governance, national governance, subnational governance, and local governance. These levels of governance play different roles in the development process. Global governance involves international institutions such as the United Nations and the World Bank that set standards and policies for global development. Their role is to provide guidelines, financing, and technical assistance to countries and regions that need it. National governance refers to the decision-making processes and structures within a country. The government is responsible for formulating policies, laws, and regulations that guide development. They are also responsible for providing public goods and services such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Next is subnational governance, It refers to a region or state's decision-making processes and structures. In many countries, states or regions have some level of autonomy in decision-making, especially in areas such as healthcare, education, and local infrastructure. And the last one is local governance, which refers to a municipality or city's decision-making processes and structures. Local governance are responsible for providing essential services like waste management, water supply, and local infrastructure. They also play a role in promoting economic development and maintaining social order. Now we shall have a better understanding of local governance, and we shall also understand decentralization. So local governance refers to a system of decision making and service delivery at the local government level. It involves a set of institutions, processes, and individuals that are responsible for managing and delivering public goods and services within a defined geographic area. Local governance can take many forms, including municipal councils, village councils, community organizations, and other local institutions. Decentralization, on the other hand, refers to the transfer of decision-making authority and resources from central government authorities to lower levels of government or the other local institutions. It involves the redistribution of power and responsibilities in a way that enables local members to participate more actively in decision-making processes and better meet their community's needs. The main objective of decentralization and local governance is to improve public service delivery's responsiveness, efficiency, and accountability. Decentralization can help to ensure that decision-making is more democratic and participatory, and that local communities have greater control over the use of public resources. At the same time, local governance can help to foster a sense of community ownership and responsibility for public goods and services, leading to greater social cohesion and development outcomes. Now we shall see Dr. Ambedkar's vision for local governance and decentralization. Dr. Ambedkar had a visionary approach to local governance and decentralization. His ideas on this subject were based on the principles of empowerment of local communities, social justice, and inclusive development. Dr. Ambedkar believed that true democracy could only be achieved through a decentralized system of governance that promotes the participation of citizens in decision-making processes. Dr. Ambedkar's vision for local governance differed from the traditional approach to governance in several ways. Traditionally, governance has been highly centralized with decision-making power concentrated in the hands of a few individuals or institutions. This centralized approach often resulted in the neglect of the needs and interests of local communities. Dr. Ambedkar's vision, on the other hand, focused on the empowerment of local communities and the promotion of their needs and interests. The three principles of Dr. Ambedkar's vision for local governance and decentralization are as follows. First is empowerment of local communities. Dr. Ambedkar believed that local communities should be empowered to participate in decision-making processes that affect their lives. He argued that a decentralized system of governance would enable local communities to take control of their own affairs and decisions that are in their best interest. Next is social justice. Dr. Ambedkar believed that social justice was a fundamental requirement for a democratic society. He argued that a decentralized system of governance would ensure that the needs and interests of marginalized and disadvantaged communities were addressed. Next is inclusive development. Dr. Ambedkar believed that development should be inclusive and should benefit all members of society, regardless of their social status and economic position. He argued that a decentralized system of governance would enable the participation of all members of society in the development process. And the last one is accountability. Ambedkar believed that a decentralized system of governance would promote greater accountability among public officials. He argued that the participation of local communities in decision-making processes would ensure that public officials were accountable to the people they served. Now we shall see the strengthening of community institutions in achieving sustainable development. Community institutions are diverse and can take many forms, including local self-governments, community-based organizations, and civil society groups. These institutions play a critical role in fostering participation, inclusivity, and ownership in development processes. Local self-governments such as city councils, village councils, and other local elected bodies are important community institutions that can be empowered to promote sustainable development. They are often responsible for delivering basic services such as water, sanitation, and healthcare, and can play a crucial role in improving the standard of living of their constituents. When these institutions are strengthened, they are better equipped to respond to the needs of their communities and to mobilize resources for development initiatives. Community-based organizations such as women's groups, youth groups, and farmers' cooperatives are another important type of community institutions. They are often formed to address specific needs or concerns within a community and can be powerful vehicles for change. When these organizations are supported and strengthened, they can mobilize communities to take collective action and advocate for their rights and interests. Civil society organizations such as non-government organizations that are NGOs, community foundations, and advocacy groups are also key community institutions that can play a critical role in promoting sustainable development. These organizations are often able to bridge gaps between communities and local agencies and can provide critical support and resources to communities that might not otherwise have access to them. So, strengthening community institutions is essential for achieving sustainable development because it empowers communities to take charge of their own development processes. When local communities are involved in decision-making processes and have a voice in shaping their own future, they are more likely to be invested in the success of development projects and to implement them effectively. Now we shall see some case studies of successful local governance and decentralization initiatives that have led to sustainable development. The first case study is the participatory budgeting in Porto Alegre in Brazil. Porto Alegre, Brazil has been widely recognized for its successful implementation of participatory budgeting, a process through which citizens are directly involved in decisions about how public funds are spent. This initiative has led to significant improvements in infrastructure and social programs, as well as increased transparency and accountability in governance. The key factors that led to its success were strong political leadership. The city government was committed to engaging citizens in decision-making and ensuring that their voices were heard. Next is capacity building. The city provided training and resources to enable citizens to participate effectively in the budgeting process. Transparency and accountability. The process was designed to be transparent with clear rules and guidelines for participation and with regular monitoring and evaluation to ensure that public funds were being used appropriately. And next is civic engagement. The city actively encouraged participation from all segments of society, including marginalized communities and low-income residents. This approach has been replicated in other cities around the world, including Chicago and Illinois, where participatory budgeting has been implemented since 2009. The next case study is devolution in Kenya. Kenya implemented a devolution system of government in 2013, which aimed to decentralize power and resources to the county level. The devolution process has significantly improved service delivery and economic growth, particularly in rural areas. The key factors that led to its success were strong political will. The Kenyan government was committed to devolving power and resources to the county level, which required a significant shift in power dynamics. Next was institutional capacity building. The government invested in building the capacity of county governments to effectively manage resources and deliver services. Next was citizen participation. Citizens were actively involved in the process of developing and implementing devolution through public consultations and engagement with county government. And next was effective governance structures. The devolved system of government was designed to promote transparency, accountability, and responsiveness to citizen needs. This approach has been lauded as a model for decentralization and devolution in other African countries, including Tanzania and Uganda. And the next case study is community-based natural resource management in Namibia. Namibia implemented a community-based natural resource management, that is CBNRM system, in the late 1990s to give local communities greater control over management and use of natural resources, including wildlife and forest. The CBNRM system has led to significant improvements in conservation outcomes and economic and social benefits for local communities. The key factors that led to its success were recognition of traditional knowledge and rights. The government recognized that the importance of traditional knowledge and the role of local communities in natural resource management. Next was strong community participation. Local communities were actively involved in the decision-making process, and their input was considered in the development of management plans. Next was capacity building. The government provided training and resources to enable communities to effectively manage natural resources and engage with external stakeholders. And last was partnership and collaboration. The government worked closely with NGOs and other stakeholders to support the implementation of CBNRM and to ensure that the benefits of natural resource management were shared equitably. This approach has been replicated in African countries, including Botswana, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe, as a model for sustainable resource management. Now I should like to conclude my presentation.
Dr.
Yes,
Bushra,
yes, ma'am. This is just the last. I'll just conclude my presentation.
I could see you have 16 slides and you have another 2 minutes to conclude. Thank you, Dr. Bushra.
I'll just conclude. Sure, ma'am. Thank you. So in this presentation, we discussed the vision of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar for local governance and decentralization in achieving sustainable development. Dr. Ambedkar believed in the importance of empowering local communities and make decisions and manage their own affairs, which he saw as essential for achieving true democracy and social justice. So some of the key points of the presentation included the Dr. Ambedkar's vision for local governance and decentralization, his beliefs, and how he saw the needs and concerns of the marginalized groups and their role in making important decision-making systems in the country as well as global level also. So to conclude with, I would like to say the importance of Dr. Ambedkar's vision for local governance and decentralization in achieving sustainable development cannot be overstated. By empowering local communities and promoting a more equitable distribution of power, it could be assured that all voices are heard and that decisions are made in the best interest of everyone and not just a privileged group. In this way, we can build a more resilient and sustainable communities and work towards a more just and equitable world for all. So with this, I complete my presentation. Thank you all for being patient listeners.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bushra. Your title of Strengthening Community Institution couldn't have been better with the platform given by ICRT that today you are able to throw your opinion, share your views on this global platform, and your views on accountability, the true democracy that Dr. Baba Saheb believed in, and talking about the community group. So which community group are we talking today? Number one, as a human being. Number two, as educators. And we are all a family of ICRT. I think we need to thank ICRT for all this. Thank you, Dr. Bushra. I think you break your fast with a date in the evening. I wish I could offer you physically, but take it as a virtual date, and wishing you Eid Mubarak 1 week in advance.
Thank you so
Dr.
much, ma'am.
Bushra.
It was such a sweet gesture from your end. Thank you so much.
Over to you, Ms. Harsha, for the next speaker.
So our next speaker is Faith Okenia Opate, PhD, HOD, Department of Biblical Studies, Nigerian Baptist Theological Seminary, Ogbo Moso, Nigeria. The title of the presentation is Economic and Social Inclusion of Women in Society, a case of Zelophehad's daughters. Forgive me if my pronunciation is not right. I welcome you, sir. The virtual stage is yours.
Are you with us? Are you with us?
Okenia? Mr. Okenia?
We will wait for a few seconds. Miss Harsha, probably, I think I saw this participant
Hello?
being the co-host. Yes, yes, you are very much audible. Could we please see you?
Yes, can you see me?
Yes. So the first thing first, I will take Miss Harsha's word forward. Could you please pronounce your name for us to understand better?
Okay, fine.
Though Shakespeare said, "What's in a name?" But I believe we are very sensitive towards our name. Please tell us your correct pronunciation.
The correct pronunciation of my name is Ochenia. Ochenia.
Great. Thank you.
Ochenia.
Great.
Ochenia faith of Pade. Ochenia means unfading beauty.
Indeed, you are. Please begin your pronunciation, Ochenia.
Thank you.
And
Thank
my
you,
name is
everyone.
Swati.
I want to appreciate the past presenters and for the ICERT for this opportunity to share my perspectives on inclusion. The little I read about Dr. Ambedkar, I know that the summary of his philosophy on social justice, education, economic and political is all about inclusion. And so I'm going to carve a niche out of what he did, and that is inclusion of women in the society. There are various factors that have led to exclusion of women in the society. And knowing that if you educate a woman, they say you have educated a whole nation. Now, that there are various factors that are responsible for the exclusion of women and economic and social development of a nation. And coming from biblical perspectives, I look at the case of Zelophehad's daughter in Numbers chapter 27, a biblical passage in Numbers chapter 27 that challenged the exclusion of women in the society. And I've stated here 3 factors that led to economic and social exclusion of women in our society. One is discriminating law and policies. And this law and policies is not just limited to our political laws, even our religious laws. For the case study I'm using, what negates their inclusion is religious law. Some of our religion, for example, the Bible I'm taking as an example, the Bible being used by both the Judaists, the Christian, and even some of his law, as found also in Quran, discriminate against women inclusion in law, in economic and social development. Another thing is gender stereotypes and cultural norms. For example, from my own part of the world, Nigeria and the Southwest Nigeria, where I'm coming from, there is that discrimination in our education, in our religion. There are some organizations, there are some religious organizations who are still stand on discriminating against women participation, especially in leadership. So there are that stereotypes, ideas, and factors in every facet of our society that discriminate against women inclusion in the society. The cultural norms. Cultural norms. We are in a society, especially from this part of the world, who is patriarchal in nature, where when men are talking, a woman cannot talk. Where if a husband died, the family will have to take over the landed property of the husband, whereas the widow is still alive. And so there are cultural norms that mitigate against women and women's inclusion in economic and social dimension of the society. Then limited access to education and health. But thank God for what ICERT is doing and encouraging women and men alike. But if we are going to be truthful to fact and statistical facts that is available to us, in various professions, you heard the voices of men more than that of women. Men are given more platform than that of women, and so these factors and more others limited against women's inclusion in economic and social dimension of the society. And I said, when this happens, there are two things I identify here, though there are more, but because of time, I've limited these to two. One is poverty, though I say poverty and inequality. And this is what Dr. Ambedkar foresee, and he was canvassing for equality in inclusion in every facet of the society. When a woman is economically and socially left out, you should know that such a society is breeding poverty. And the inequality we are seeing today is because one set of gender has been excluded. And I also talk about violence and discrimination. Violence in the sense that if a woman is not given the economic power and the social power as it ought to be, the children will not be well trained. And if the children is not well trained, they can end up doing anything. And that can account for some of the violence we are experiencing in our nation today. Now, what should we do? And that is, what should we do? And I'll take this story of the Zelophehad's daughter. In Numbers 27, Zelophehad's daughter, the cultural law in Israel, which is the biblical context, which is the cultural context for the Bible. The cultural law is that women cannot hold property. That is the law. And so Zelophehad's daughter, when Zelophehad died, he has 3 daughters. He has no male. And so this Zelophehad's daughter, against the cultural norms, against the status quo, the stereotype idea, the Zelophehad's daughter rise up to challenge and demand, our father has no son, he has only daughters. And Moses, being the leader, both the religious and political leaders of that time, have to respond to that. They challenge their exclusion from their inheritance. And I have identified the significance, 3 significance of women not keeping silent, and not just only women. Dr. Ambedkar is not a woman, but he rose up to challenge the status quo that is limiting the development of his nation by advocating for inclusion in all facets. And I say first, the lesson, the significance of that Zelophehad's daughter's story is that he challenged the economic and exclusion of women in ancient Israel. These 3 daughters said, we are not going to keep quiet. And so through this paper, I'm also advocating that women, likewise men, not to keep quiet about exclusion of any part of the society, either gender or tribe. We should not keep quiet. You must challenge, just like the Zelophehad's daughter. Second is that the story illustrates the importance of challenging unjust law. When there are unjust law, this Zelophehad's daughter, just like Ambedkar rose up during his own time, they challenge unjust law. There are unjust laws and policies in our societies. And so women, men alike must rise up. And the reason I'm saying this is that even in some contexts, I've been in a women conference where women are the one opposing the emancipation of women and say, what do we need to do? Our culture did not allow it. If our culture did not allow it and is wrong, if our culture is wrong, that culture can be challenged. Third is that the story underscored the importance of leadership in promoting economic and social inclusion. If you look at that story, Moses being the leader, listened to the Zelophehad's daughters as a leader, as their political and religious leader. He listened to them and he supported their cause. And the Bible made us understand that Moses prayed, and when Moses prayed, God instructed him, give them. So if God is not in support of women's inclusion, I don't think God will spoke to Moses and said, Moses, apportion their inheritance to them. They deserve it. So these three lessons is very, very important for us. Number one, women should not keep quiet. Challenge the status quo. Then the advantages of economic and social inclusions of women. One, it is very, very essential for the well-being of individual and society. If a woman is ostracized from economically and socially ostracized, the person cannot be a whole being. It's like such a person has been punctured. Such a person cannot be whole. And if women in the society, tell me that congregation, tell me that gathering, that if you find 1,000 men and women are allowed to be in that gathering, that you will not find 3,000 women. So if the women are not okay, then the society is not okay. So for well-being of the women themselves and the society, social and economic inclusion of women are very, very essential. So the inclusion of women in the society can have a positive impact on economic growth and development. And I think you people in India can attest to that fact, that when women are included, when they are not excluded, it can bring economic growth and development. In education-wise, health-wise, political-wise, in every facet of the society. If we desire growth, then we include women. Social inclusion of women is equally important because it creates access to healthcare, access to education, social services, which can improve the well-being of the women and their families. So social and economic inclusion of women are very, very essential if we are going to be talking about national development. And I concluded to say that the story of Zelophehad's daughter has provided an example that the status quo can be challenged. The status quo can be challenged. We cannot just keep quiet. We cannot just be silent. Let's say keep quiet. It's not that you don't have mouth. Either they listen to you or they don't listen to you. We will not be celebrating Dr. Ambedkar today if he was silent during his own age. The status quo can be challenged, and leaders must learn from what political leaders, religious leaders, family leaders must learn from what Moses did. When they challenge the status quo, when they challenge the cultural policy, he did not say, keep quiet. He made consultation. He made consultation and he dialogued with the Zelophehad's daughter to bring about the expected solution. So advocating for marginalized groups and enacting law and policy that promote inclusion is very, very essential in this 21st century society. So I want to say that what my conclusion is that the story of the Selofas daughter has given us a good example that the status quo can be challenged if it is unjust, if it is promoting injustice, social injustice, economic injustice, it can be challenged. Just as the Selofas daughters challenge the policy during their own time, people too can rise, women should arise for their inclusion in economic and social dimension of the society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Otenia. And first of all, I again tip my hat to you as a women educator from Nigeria, where education does not come on a platter to anyone. And I'm sure you have fought many odds and faced many challenges during your education.
Say that again. You can say that again. The department I'm the only female.
I have a couple of friends from Nigeria, and I know what is your socio-economic status of women, a normal person there. And then on top of that, if you have a gender female, you have to fight innumerable challenges and then stand and speak. And today, I think you've got a fantastic platform from ICERT to be the voice of the women. And you are taking us back to the story of Moses, to the story of Zelophehad, and how beautifully you incorporated in today's International Symposium with the vision of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And you as a women speaker, I think, Ochenia, you yourself are remarkable. You are doing a wonderful job, and keep up the good work of educating people and talking and raising your voice. As you said, women cannot be quiet. You need to speak when you are uncomfortable and feel good when you have spoken about it. Thank you so much, Ochenia, for your insight in today's case study. It was really worth knowing that. Over to you, Ms. Harsha.
Our next presenter is Dr. B. Swasti, who is an assistant professor, St. Mary's College, to deliver the lecture on women empowerment through the lens of B.R. Ambedkar. I welcome you, sir. The stage is yours. Dr. Swasti?
Yeah, good evening, madam. Yeah, I'm Dr. Swati. So please allow me to share my screen.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah.
Your slide is visible, ma'am.
Visible, yeah.
Yes.
So good evening, one and all. Today, my topic is women empowerment through the lens of B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar was the first Indian reformer in eliminating the barriers in the way of advancement of Indian society in general and the women in particular. He was the principal architect of the Indian Constitution and was a scholar par excellence, a philosopher, a visionary, an emancipator, and a true nationalist. He was a beacon of light for the millions of depressed, oppressed, and exploited women of India. He always worked for the women emancipation. According to B.R. Ambedkar, unity is meaningless without the accompaniment of women. Education is fruitless without educated women, and agitation is incomplete without the strength of the women. India is one of the countries in prioritizing women equality and their rights, as India still carries the legacy of visionaries like B.R. Ambedkar. According to Ambedkar, empowerment refers to the increasing the spiritual, political, social, or economic strength of individuals and communities. Empowerment and autonomy of women and the improvement of their political, social, economic, and health status is both a highly important and in itself and necessary for the achievement of sustainable human development. The role of Ambedkar's struggle for rights of women, earning minimum dignity of all human beings, irrespective of caste and class, are invaluable and for that he is known as the champion of human rights. He paved way for advancement of women and their freedom from age-old traditions, norms, and social bondages. Ambedkar's struggle for freedom was not limited to the political independence, but also aimed at the establishment of just, liberal society with equality. India is among few of them because it carries the legacy of intellectual and socially aware thoughts of leaders like B.R. Ambedkar. His views are relevant even today in the policy making for bringing equality and justice of women at national and international level. The role played by Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar as chairperson of the drafting committee of the Constitution has left imprint on the social tapestry of country after independence and shaped the social political fabric of India today. The vision of Dr. Ambedkar about women is explicitly depicted in Indian Constitution. Equality of sexes is strongly backed by the Constitution through Articles 14, 15, and 16, which specifically mention of equality of law, no discrimination against women, and it prohibits and punishable if any discrimination is done against women. The principle of gender equality is enshrined in the Indian Constitution in its preamble, fundamental rights, fundamental duties, and directive principles. Gender equality, gender mainstreaming, networking, leaderships, and financial freedom are the essential aspects of women empowerment, and Dr. Ambedkar included these social reforms. As quoted by Dr. Ambedkar, "We shall see better days soon, and our progress will be greatly accelerated if male education is persuaded side by side with female education." It was greatly said where he tries to give equal importance to women education in the country. Education is the only means by which societies grow out of oppression to democratic participation and involvement, and empowerment helps in developing and building capacities of individuals, communities to make them part of the mainstream society. Dr. Ambedkar considered education as an important tool for the emancipation of women. He stressed on education for the progress of women, and he had a great concern for the women empowerment. He wanted to liberate women from their suffering and economic dependency. In order to give economic rights and freedom to women, Dr. Ambedkar demanded educational rights, equality, and right to property for women. To educate women, he asked co-education for women and men. Through education, he believed that women would think independently, which will lead to their intellectual and mental development. At the same time, Dr. Ambedkar's goal was to make a society based on social justice. To secure this goal, Ambedkar has given equal status to women on par with men by providing many provisions in the Indian Constitution. The preamble of Indian Constitution guarantees social and economic justice to women without gender discrimination, and that is because of Dr. Ambedkar's contribution. He believed that women should be entitled to equal status with men and they must have equal rights. To ensure women's status, Dr. Ambedkar had also introduced an emancipatory bill, the Hindu Code Bill, in Parliament, and also in Indian Constitution. There are few articles exist that help the women of Indian society to improve their position and to compete with their male counterparts. He firmly believed that our political democracy must stand on the base of social democracy, which means a way of life which recognizes liberty, equality, and fraternity as the principles of life. He emphasized on measuring the progress of a community by the degree of progress which women have achieved. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar recognized the importance of education in shaping the future and cautioned the underprivileged not to lose any opportunity. He put all his efforts to guarantee the education without any discrimination to all the citizens of independent India. In the present context, education by means of access to knowledge and learning played a pivotal role in the reforms. Dr. Ambedkar's vision on gender equality is very important for the socio-economic reconstruction of the Indian society. The issue of women empowerment has become a center stage in the contemporary period of globalization and information technology. Dr. Ambedkar's three-word formula, educate, agitate, and organize, is a powerful tool of social change even today. He regarded education as a means to reach the doors of light and perception to remove the regions of darkness and ignorance. Dr. Ambedkar wanted the people to cultivate the values of freedom and equality among themselves. It was only possible through education. He regarded education as a means to reach the doors of light and perception to remove the darkness of ignorance. Dr. Ambedkar made women conscious of their rights, which was denied to them for centuries. Educating the downtrodden people, his thought was a sure way to instill in them a sense of consciousness, self-respect, and dignity. This turn would provide the necessary cultural basis for their progressive assimilation into the mainstream of an enlightened national life. To conclude, the issue of women empowerment has become a center stage in the current period of globalization and information technology. Equality of opportunity and development for all. In the light of this ideology, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar made groundbreaking contributions towards reducing social and economic inequalities in India. The teachings and thoughts of Dr. Ambedkar are useful not only to women, but also to all the Indians even today. Thank you for the patient listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Swati. This was Dr. Swati, Assistant Professor at St. Mary's College, and her title, Women Empowerment Through Quality Education, beautifully through slides that she took us to the journey, talking about Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar being the beacon of light for millions of women who actually needed upliftment, and the gender equality, which is actually very important in the socio-economic reconstruction of the Indian society. Dr. Swati, you build up your entire slide, entire PPT beautifully around your thoughts. Thank you so much, Dr. Swati. Over to you, Ms. Harsha. I think we are on our last speaker, if not the least.
Yes, ma'am. So our next speaker is Dr. Mamta Chawla, who is an Associate Professor of Marketing, Amity Global Business School in Amity University, Noida. I welcome you, ma'am, to deliver the lecture on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's vision of empowerment through quality education. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, and my many gratitude to International Council for Education, Research and Training. First of all, let me really say, Harsha Sharma ma'am, you're doing quite well, and especially our main honorable member of ICERT, Ms. Sonia. Yes, I really congratulate, first of all, choosing the day, that is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Equality Day. Second, I hope it has gone through a lot of deliberation before fixing that particular title, Community Empowerment, Inclusion and Sustainable Development. Through the lens. That means it's not today. It's starting from our own constitution. There was a visionary who was talking about what I'm going to cover today. If you all can see on my screen, I hope my screen is quite visible. So myself, Dr. Mamta Chawla, it's already been introduced. I am management professor, taking marketing and management subjects, and I am utilizing this opportunity. First of all, I'm thankful to ICERT for picking me up, for presenting my views and linking. So I'm going to link basically three things together. I hope my slides are changing.
Yes, please go ahead, Dr. Mamta. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Sonia ji. So the thing is, I'm trying to relate what was the vision of our main visionary who really helped us as a country to think about the future, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. his vision about empowerment and how we can relate with sustainable development goals and quality education, because I am into higher education. So I am trying to relate these three things together. How 1923 to 2015, and now we are talking about 23, NEP, National Education Policy. All these are interconnected. How in 1923, when he started doing his PhD, thanks to Sonia ma'am, who has already given a lot of introduction about Baba Sahab, that what was his vision about India. So I'll not be taking it further. That yes, he was having his vision about India. I hope we all are aware that yes, there is a way that we can empower our own country. That is the economic development. So how he promoted and how he made those provisions that yes, we need to, as a country, emphasize on industrialization and modernization. That was the thing. Why we are in that clutches, that how need to be employment generation. So he was talking more about empowerment of Indians in terms of taking away all those barricades. So I'm quoting his sentence: education is that which make men fearless, teach unity, make understand their birthrights, and teach a man to struggle and fight for the freedom. That means how he promoted that all these disruption, all these injustice are because of lack of education. And in his views, true education cradles humanity, generates sources of livelihood, imparts wisdom, and imbues us with egalitarianism. Same has already been highlighted by Swati ma'am, that yes, for women empowerment, we need to talk about education. So the same point I'm going to highlight, that yes, education should be accessible to all, and how education means building character, how we need to talk about discipline, and it starts from the childhood. That is the reason we are talking about morality also. So I'm trying to relate it to sustainable development goals. I hope in sustainable development goal, these are in 2015 highlighted for the universe. That means globally, these are the acceptable goals for all the countries. So India is also part of sustainable development goals. In these sustainable development goals, we need to talk about eradication of poverty and injustice, in terms of eradication of so many practices which are prevalent in different countries. In case of India, there are different programs have been launched, like Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Make in India. So all these are in line with SDGs and how Government of India is trying to promote their national action plan also for climate change. So all these 17 SDG goals are starting and interconnected. So in these goals, education has been actually recognized and appreciated as a critical factor, which is going to help generate awareness about conservation of resources, and how we need to really talk about a society which is comprising of generating future generation, which are talking about how they're going to survive and what they're going to leave behind. And in that aspect, education is the most crucial, and how it's going to equip individuals with the knowledge, with the skills, and the attitude. These three things are very important: knowledge, skills, and attitude. So all these three combined together will make our generations, make generation wise to take informed decisions, act responsibly, and contribute towards the society's well-being, in terms of having a happy place, a heaven place, how this planet is going to be there for survival of everyone. So how education can create, first of all, the awareness about the importance of sustainability and impact of human activities. What we are doing, we are making conscious decisions about what we are doing in terms of environmental friendly decisions. So how every individual, they are knowing about what is environmental issue, what are climate change issues, what are pollution, what are the repercussion of deforestation, and how these are going to impact the human life and the complete ecosystem. So this awareness can be generated from education itself. Second, it's very important that education can create those skills necessary for these sustainable development goal achievement, in terms of accepting that yes, it's very important to have critical thinking, to have our generation improved skills to solve problems and be creative in it. So all these skills like critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity, these can enable the individuals to find innovative solution to the environmental problem. First is consciousness, the awareness. Second is now actually coming into practice to eradicate these kind of issues and make informed choices so that they can balance their personal, economic, social, and environmental consideration. Third very important aspect about education is to foster attitude. That means positivity, liking, that yes, they are conscious. They're conscious about what? They're conscious about that every action does have its own impact on individuals to society, society to nation, nation to the world economy. That means we need to instill the values that respect the nature and make people and individuals socially responsible for all the actions and commitment towards the sustainable and social justice. So we need to actually improve as an educator to improve all these three through education, that yes, students should have awareness, they should have the skill set, and they should have positive attitude and concern towards environmental friendly decisions. And for that, they need to have creative ways to understand, to promote SDG. Especially in case of education, it is also linked with economic development. One is concerned about the future, making this place, Earth, a good place to live, and leaving behind and complete set of action that can help them to survive and futuristic. That is the reason we are using sustainable. So this is same which is reflected into our education policy. So how this education policy is a way towards reaching that sustainable development goal of quality education, which is already being propagated by our Day of Equality, what we are talking about, Dr. Ambedkar. So in this national education policy, the complete emphasis is on having education for everyone. And this complete education policy is based upon certain principles that every child should be given a chance to have education without any regard to the gender. So this education policy 2023, which is already implemented, that is to develop every child's potential, develop the literacy and numeracy knowledge among children. So our future is safe in the hands of the children. They are going to govern. They are going to take the ownership. They are going to be well informed. So to build on their awareness, skills, and positive attitude, we need to emphasize on literacy. For that, there are flexible learning options being promoted through this education policy. And that is the reason in national education policy, NEP, there's a lot of emphasis on public education system, so that we can emphasize quality education. So that we are talking about at world level, Indian education system is equipping the generation with employability skills, with creativity, how regional languages are also promoted. So first thing very important is emphasizing NEP is to link every children with Indian culture. How kids starting from their primary education, they should be told about how rich are we at world level, Indian culture and values, Indian mythology, Gita to Ramayana, to our own festivals and diversity, how we are a rich nation in terms of natural resources, to the value system, how we should make our kids proud. So it starts from primary education. And on the top of it, we are promoting top-notch research. So how in education, especially in higher education, original thinking to creative thinking are implemented. We are talking about Bloom's taxonomy nowadays, which is already there in our own education system. We need to see our own enrich Indian culture system. So there we have example of Rama as a good governance, Rama as an emperor. So how the Western culture, Western people are also looking towards us in terms of our rich heritage, and how with inculcating these kind of cultural values in our children through education, we can be again superpower at world level. So this is the reason this education policy is made transparent. So there is no ambiguity that there can be any discrepancy in understanding it. And on the top of it, it's not about our old values and culture only. This NEP has emphasized a lot on technology and transparent and impressive evaluation system, where there is regard to the regional languages also. Why should we talk about only one foreign language, which has become our corporate language or the language I'm using? So how this will take a lot of time, where we are talking about not to having multiple steps, because the child is given a particular type of environment of bringing up. So there is a complete process. One is thinking, second is coming. So when they speak, first they think in their local regional language, and then they translate into the acceptable language, which is nowadays most of the time English. So how we in NEP, especially, we are talking about actually implementing the vision of our constitution maker, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And this is to conclude that how these three things are aligned. On this day of equality, how in the Indian constitution, the founders themselves made this provision. And at world level, in terms of 17 SDGs, which are target till 2030, and we are progressing through NEP 2023. So time is there, and I'm very hopeful. I am sure all the people over here can see progress of Indian government and steps towards having quality education, and how we are going to be superpower once again. With this, I would like to conclude, and thanks for just making this platform available for me so that I can share my views on this day. Thank you so much, Sonia ma'am and Harsha ma'am, and thanks to the organizer of ICERT. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mamta. I think a person from the marketing background can have a vision. You can rope in B.R. Ambedkar, and you can rope in NEP. You can rope in inclusive and equitable education so beautifully. I think no one could justify it better than you, Dr. Mamta. I am totally impressed. When you talk about the empowerment through quality education, and quality education, I think, is on every single page PDF of that long document of NEP 2020, which just not only talks about 5+3+4, it talks about the various pillars of the entire system, and the connecting of us to the roots through Panchantantra, through our Vedas, through the mother tongue. And that was the vision of B.R. Ambedkar, and a person from marketing. I am totally impressed, Dr. Mamta. It was pleasure to have you heard here as the last speaker, and you brought a lot of fresh air to the originally moving thoughts. Thank you so much, Dr. Mamta. Dr. Harsha, do we have a little time that we can bring in our chief guest, Dr. Professor, Dr. Rajendra Kumar Uppal, probably to share a few words, if he is available right now, since we have a couple of minutes, so we would like to hear him a little more.
I think this is a very beautiful symposium, and various resource persons express their views very nicely, and deliberations held in this symposium will be very, very useful. If we draw the conclusion, there is one message given by B.R. Ambedkar that we should thoroughly study the life sketch of B.R. Ambedkar, and our students, our new generation, can modify their future with the teachings of B.R. Ambedkar. I hope the deliberations will be very, very useful. Thank you so much. I once again congratulate all the members of ICERT, Madam Harsha or Madam Sonia particularly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rajendra, for concluding it so beautifully. Our guest of honor and the symposium chairperson, Dr. Thapul Jose, would you like to share a few words? Since we've been hearing a lot of opinion, you have some more thoughts originating in your mind. Could you please come up?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Ms. Sonia McPherson, Global Education Influencer and Prime Ambassador and Honorable Member of ICERT, Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Dr. Rajendra Kumar Uppal, the distinguished panelists. I'm very happy as we come to the end of this presentation session. As you know, the International Council for Education, Research and Training has aptly organized an international symposium on the occasion of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Equality Day on the topic Community Empowerment, Inclusion and Sustainable Development through the lens of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The distinguished panelists have brought light to the multifaceted personality of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The panelists, through their insightful presentations, have unveiled the dimensions of Dr. Ambedkar over and above the commonly assigned title, which we have all studied in our textbook as the architect of Indian Constitution. The speakers have highlighted social philosophies of the great leader, Dr. Ambedkar, in various sectors like education, women empowerment, economics, secularism, local self-government, sustainable development, etc. The first speaker, Dr. Nudan Yadav, brought out an insight into Dr. Ambedkar's vision in shining India in the 21st century. Dr. Delight Omegio Idiga, I hope I pronounce it correctly, posed the question, can there be equality and inclusion in a deprived learning environment? And she talked on the power of education history and a rethinking of Dr. Ambedkar's envisionment with the Nigerian education system as a background. Dr. Priyanka Singla talked about the impact of Ambedkar's teaching on community development. Mr. Abhishek Sharma spoke of education, equality, and inclusive society in Dr. Ambedkar's vision. Dr. Adish Kumar spoke of an introduction to the life of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. Bushra Sumaya talked of strengthening community institutions for sustainable development. Ms. Otenia Opede spoke of economic and social inclusion of women in society. Dr. B. Swadi spoke of women empowerment through the lens of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And Dr. Mamta Chawla spoke on Dr. Ambedkar's vision and linked it to the present scenario of NEP 2020. As we have seen, the papers presented brought out Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, who inherited a society with inequality and injustice, and how he fought to liberate the millions of his countrymen with the vision of having a universal human right. Dr. Ambedkar felt the need for reforming and reconstructing the society based on equality, liberty, and justice. His vision convinced him that centralized old customs and traditions and beliefs cannot be thrown away overnight. To mold the Indian society, which we enjoy today, is a result of the vision of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. To conclude, Ambedkar's greatest achievements are in the sphere of idea, politics, and social change that shape the character of the nation, India, and of democracy as conceived by the world at large. The history produces a few people who leave such a mark on the society, and Dr. Ambedkar is undoubtedly one of them. I take this opportunity to congratulate ICERT for organizing this event, bringing together scholars from different parts of the globe, which undoubtedly is an evidence of the of the recognition and appreciation of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as a global leader. I take this opportunity to thank all the panelists for their presentations, especially for bringing out fresh thoughts on the views of Ambedkar as a global leader. And I also thank the chief guest of the day, Professor Dr. Rajinder Kumar Uppal. I think we should also thank Ms. Sonia, who is the chief patron, who effectively moderated the symposium, and also thank Ms. Harsha Sharma, whom I understand is a research scholar at Punjab University, who effectively coordinated the symposium. Both of them effectively coordinated the symposium so that all the speakers confined to the time frame allotted to them. And I'm not breaking that time frame as well. To conclude, last not but the least, I'm from Kerala, as you might be knowing. Tomorrow we are celebrating Vishu in Kerala. Vishu is a vibrant and joyful festival that makes the beginning of the new year according to the Malayalam, our language, our mother tongue calendar, Malayalam calendar. I know this Vishu is being celebrated in under different titles in different parts of India. So I wish you all a happy festival tomorrow. And I once again thank you all for your patient listening. And I also thank ICERT for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Choco, for your kind and really appreciative words for me. I was just doing my job. It looks a little sad sometimes when I have to ask someone or inform someone that you just have about 1 or 2 minutes, and the person has taken a lot of time to build up that particular slide or those 10-15 slides. So it's a little heartbreaking, but we are time bound. Thank you for understanding the constraints at our end. And yes, please accept heartfelt greetings on behalf of ICERT to you. I think it's Besaki, it's Vishu, it's Bihu, it's Panasankrati, and Pohila Boishak across India. It's a widespread country with deep culture. Please accept my greetings on behalf of the entire community of ICERT and educators. Over to you, Ms. Harsha.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's time to acknowledge the contribution of various eminent personalities through Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar Excellence Award. This award was established in the memory of the first Law Minister of India and founder of the Indian institution to recognize outstanding performance in various fields. The award is given to honor professionals for their progressive vision and for their contribution towards society and nation, which inspires others to follow. Now I request our backend team to play the slide for the reference. I request Ms. Kusum ma'am, please play the slide for the award ceremony. I'm sorry for a little delay. I request the organizing committee members, please.
Yes, ma'am, sharing.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This year, Baba Saheb Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Excellence Award 2023 goes to Professor Rajinder Kumar Uppal, Principal, Baba Farid College of Management and Technology, Bhatinda, Punjab. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Next is Dr. Govind. please change the slide. Yes. So Dr. Govind, Assistant Professor, Guru Jameshwar University of Science and Technology, Hisar. Many congratulations, sir. Dr. Naseeb Kumar, Assistant Professor in Psychology, MNS Government College, Bhiwani. Congratulations, sir. Miss Parneet Tomar, Assistant Professor, Department of English, GNV College, Degree College, Budhpur, Ramla. Congratulations, ma'am. Dr. J. Suresh Kumar, Associate Professor, Department of Economics, St. Joseph University, Virgin Town, Ikish Model Village, Nagaland. Congratulations, sir. Dr. Nav Prabhakar Lal Goswami, Principal Education, Vidyasthali TT College, Jaipur. Many congratulations, sir. Dr. Suresh Kumar Agrawal, Director, Pragyan Foundation. Congratulations, sir. Dr. Manju Chaudhary, Associate Professor, Department of Home Science, FGM College, Government College, Adampur. Congratulations, ma'am. Mr. Venkat Subramanian Ganpati, Faculty in Auditing Department, Southern India Regional Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, SIRC of ICEA, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Congratulations, sir. Dr. Ambika Bhatt, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, GCET, Jammu. Congratulations, ma'am. Dr. Pushpanjali Singh, Assistant Professor, Chemistry, ex-employee, Ambo University, Ethiopia. Congratulations, ma'am. Dr. A. Pushpavali, Principal Education, Swaminathan Saraswati College of Education for Women. Many congratulations, ma'am. Dr. Namita Vyas Joshi, Dean Faculty of Law, Parul Institute of Law. Congratulations, ma'am. Dr. Muhammad Salim Khan, Assistant Professor, Law, Parul Institute of Law. Congratulations, sir. Dr. Deepika, Assistant Professor, Government PG College, Hisar. Congratulations, ma'am. Dr. Mukesh R. Jangra, Assistant Professor, Government PG College, Hisar. Congratulations, sir. Dr. Pratap Singh, Assistant Professor, Department of Defense and Strategic Studies, Maharshi Dayanand University, Rohtak, Haryana. Congratulations, sir. Dr. Rajesh R., Associate Professor and Head, Department of Visual Communication, SRM Institute of Science and Technology. Congratulations, sir. Dr. Satish Kumar, Assistant Professor in Defense Studies, FGM Government College, Adampur, Hisar. Congratulations, sir. And the last, Dr. Rema MK, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology, Christu Jayanti College. Congratulations, ma'am. Congratulations all for your remarkable contribution to our society and nation. You have inspired us with your achievements. Now, I feel incredibly honored and privileged to extend a vote of thanks on this momentous day when inspiring hero, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is remembered and reflections are done. I propose a vote of thanks to the esteemed chief guest speakers, delegates, and researchers across the world for the exchange of their positive vibrations and energies. I want to thank our chief guest speaker, Professor Dr. Rajendra Kumar Uppal and Dr. Chako Jose to spare their valuable time and expertise.
Thank you.
Pay my gratitude to our organizing secretary, Dr. Sandeep, for his constant efforts to bring eminent educationists to this academic platform and make this event possible. Organizing team and admin staff, without you, this is really not possible. I want to extend my thanks to all the guest speakers to enlighten us with their wisdoms. I want to thank all the active participants to ensure their presence and grace this event. And the last but not least, my heartfelt thanks to our chief patron, Miss Sonia, who supported and guided me throughout the event. Your constant support and coordination made this symposium a great success. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, I request Miss Sonia to kindly say a few words.
Thank you. I think I'm really blessed to be showered with so many kind and appreciative words. Heartfelt thank you to you, Miss Harsha. And definitely, we too put our wheels together to take this symposium from beginning to the end. So likewise, and ditto words to you for being a wonderful moderator this evening. Yes, borrowing words from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, I like the religion that teaches liberty, equality, and fraternity. So here we are educators following the religion of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, our religion of equality, our religion of being educator, our religion of taking the education forward in the right spirit of inclusive and equitable education for all. A heartfelt thank you. And if we have cut short somewhere, please accept my earnest apologies for that. And looking forward to more speakers and more sharing of thoughts with this deliberation. As Dr. Rajendra Uppal said, it's so enriching. I'm feeling more empowered at the end of the day. And this day couldn't have been beautifully concluded to mark the Equality Day of Baba Saheb Ambedkar's 132nd birthday. Thank you so much, participants. I thank our chief guest, Dr. Rajendra Kumar Uppal. I thank our guest of honor and the symposium chairperson, Dr. Chaku Jose, and the speakers from across the globe to make this event a successful event with your opinion and your hard work. Thank you so much, and a very good evening to everyone. Thank you, Dr. Jose, for those kind words on the chat. Thank you so much. I think we are good to leave now, Ms. Harsha.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you,
Yes.
everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, we all can leave the meeting room now. Thank you so much.